Hi everyone, I'm Ronnie and today I'm going to be going through my website and introducing you to my project. So my concept was really different than a lot of people's in that I went with a community outreach center versus the educational facilities that a lot of people were looking at. So basically I realized that they had a need that they weren't being fulfilled, and so I really wanted to look at how I can help create this community outreach facility. So if we click on the programming tab, we go to our programming diagrams. So after meeting with the community and going over some of the solutions we came up with in the design game, the goal I really wanted to focus on was serving as a more welcoming community. And so we can do that because they don't have a lot of community outreach, and there can be a sort of hesitance around religion that keeps people from getting the help they need. So to solve that, obviously we need a facility in general for this community outreach. And then we also need to create a space that's separate from the church. That way it's not quite as intimidating. So concepts obviously create a standalone facility and just have a separate space that helps prevent the hesitance. And then kind of just a quick diagram. So basically just this would be the old church. And then here we would have the new church, the new part of the church that I am going to be designing. So next, if we can move on to diagrams. So first, the site context diagram. So these blue lines are these new axes that I really wanted to focus on. I really wanted to draw people in from this corner. That way it added a new layer of how to get into the site. But these axes funnel people directly into either the multi-purpose room or into the actual chapel itself. And so I really wanted to focus on creating this journey, whichever path they end up taking, really inviting them on this journey through the church, because this is the first step. They're getting the help they need and acclimating themselves before they can really become a full-time member of the church and kind of take that journey to the welcoming community. So for the public-private diagram, basically the open spaces are completely public. You have this office flex space and the pantry that are going to be semi-public, semi-private, because obviously you're going to want some security. And then these rooms here are just the bathroom, so obviously they're going to be the most private. So then this is a materials diagram, just sort of some of the materials I'm considering working with. Kind of a darker wood palette for the truss system, just kind of a normal hatched roof for the covered roof. Kind of this stucco / brick, kind of the same material as the church, trying to keep a similar color and texture on that, and then just kind of some plain, more generic walls for the interior. So for the structure diagram, so basically all of these trusses are going to be load bearing, and then they will support the load onto these main load bearing walls that are these darker walls. The lighter walls here and on the interior are not load-bearing walls. And then these walls that are this other gray are actually transparent glass walls, so obviously they would not be load-bearing. Next is the landscaping diagram. So this was the church site before. This is the original church site, so all of this parking. And so I kind of shifted things around where all of the parking is now going to be moved to the back with an entrance off of Pacific here. And so all of the parking will be in the back of the church and kind of hidden away. So now they're going to have this new facade that's really just going to be landscape and the building that will obviously be here, and kind of just giving a new, more welcoming presence to the church. And obviously they're still going to have a drop-off center here. So daylighting. So the main daylighting issue is I have this contemplation type space that's completely glass. So I went ahead and added some louvers to the east and west sides of it to kind of filter that sunlight down and make it not quite as dramatic. Passive ventilation. So in the skinnier area of the, let me go up here, in this area here, the skinnier area of the building, there's actual operable windows that can be opened up for passive ventilation. So then moving on, so this is kind of where I was at the conceptual phase. Still some different things I needed to work out. Kind of similar on the floor plan, that didn't change a ton, but a big thing that changed is the roof. It was the only gable was on this one part, and then the rest of it was a flat roof, which is one of the more dramatic things that changed. But yeah, so this was kind of the first go around, and kind of didn't really have a good grasp of where the entrances and things like that were going. So then when I moved on to the final design, that's where things begin to change. So first, my final site plan. So as you can see, I've got this clear story that's the gable that runs right through the center of this building. It's the same gable system that runs here. All of these of which were taken straight from the church. They're within the main chapel, the truss system on the inside. I kind of did a derivative of that to get the truss shape that is throughout the building. So again, this is the building. It's at the northeast corner of the site, really inviting people in and drawing that in. And again, we have all of this new green space to work with, really adds a new facade to that building. We're really just creating that journey. And it's connected enough to the church with still being separate. Plenty of covered areas and walkways, so you're not always having to be outside, but you still have that opportunity. So for the floor plans, so this space, all these large spaces is really just a large gathering space that can be used for several different purposes. I know when they host events, they tend to have a lack of space. So this building is just going to create more space and for them to do whatever they really need with. 2, again, is just the bathrooms. 3 is a flex space, so this can be used for offices or classrooms or just more private meetings that you don't want to do in the larger open area. 4 is a pantry, so they can have a food pantry, a donation for clothes, whatever they need in there, because they just really don't have that right now. And then finally, 5 is, again, this contemplation space, which is really just kind of a place to stop. It could be rented out for events. It's a pretty large space. So again, this is the same thing, just kind of coded with everything we've been doing. So again, gathering, flex space, storage, and then utilities is how everything's coded. That way we're similar across the class. So furniture plan, again, pretty basic. I've got some desks and some tables in here that could be possibly moved around, obviously the bathroom, and then just kind of a welcome desk with some lounge furniture, and of course more or less can be added as needed. So this is the section cut from south to north, and you are looking to the west. So again, just kind of looking at that horizontality of the building and this long path to get you to the entrance of the church, and how that works. And then this is the section cut from the east to the west looking south. So again, you're seeing that and how this roof kind of works over here. In elevation, this is the east elevation here. So you can see how the louver system would work and kind of how the facade of this part kind of creeps around and actually passes this facade. The south elevation, again, just looking at all of this light blue is obviously going to be glazing. So just seeing how the different gables play out. And then finally, just some perspectives. So this is if you were coming from the church entrance and walking north. This is if you're north heading into that main entrance of my new building. This is once you get inside the building, so you have the path to the left or the right. And then this is a perspective as if you were in the courtyard in between my building and the current multi-purpose room. So yeah, so overall, just kind of really wanted to create this separate space. I wanted to use this clear story to kind of give it more light and still kind of maintain that gable pattern. Unlike this, where they are full gables and come all the way down, this is a more simplified version within there. It just goes across to become part of the load bearing system for the walls. But yeah, I knew everybody was really going to look towards education, so I really wanted to step outside and do something different. And so I think this is a neat facility that can fulfill the need for a community outreach center, but in general, it's just going to give them a lot more space to work with, do a lot more events and a lot more different things. And again, it also kind of gives a more unified front to the church. They kind of don't really have a unified front facade, but having this large building there and large pathway that you can see how things are supposed to line up. It kind of provides that unity. It also, all of these new axes kind of provide more clarity on how to navigate around the church. So it's really just creating a new entrance and a new front for the church and kind of taking them in a new direction, looking more towards the future and becoming a welcoming community. So if you have any questions, I'll obviously be happy to answer them during the review, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks.